know what you know. Yeah. Thanks for using my
Stand and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that Ms. Adams is not here this evening. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Thanks.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Mr. Kinnear?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well. Consent agenda. All of the following items, those items of a routine nature normally approved at board meetings, will be approved by one vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of a discussion, consideration, and action on the following items, items A through W.
Move for approval. Second.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Mr. Kinnear?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well. All right, information reports. Do we have a representative from USPA this evening? UCTA, come and inform us.
President Romerman, Dr. Hartzler, members of the board, teachers are definitely feeling the stress of pivoting back and forth between in-person and distance learning. We see the lack of consistency taking its toll on our students as well. Teachers have experienced unforeseen increases in the new insurance plan beyond what was presented in the benefits meetings. Some teachers have had to refuse medical care because what had been affordable is now so cost prohibitive they can't afford the care. UCTA is partnering with Union PLAC to host a moderated forum for the Zone 2 board seat, January 27th from 7 to 8:30 at Union 8th Grade Center. We hope to see everybody there.
Thank you, Ms. Churchill. All right, under communications, hearings and correspondence, don't think we have anything this evening. So we'll move on to the business agenda under school operations. Consider and take action on the recommended update, safe return, and continuity of services plan for the 21-22 school year. Mr. Bushyhead, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you all this evening? So as a requirement of the federal government associated with the ESSER 3 funds and the ARP funds that we receive, we are to bring our safe return and continuity of services plan back to you. There really one major change that has happened, and that is going with the recommendation that we allow folks to return after 5 days of testing positive as long as they wear a mask, and if not, the 10 days. As we also discussed last month, we discussed the mask mandate and discussed whether or not you all voted on that, and then we said we would bring that back. It is at this time that we would not I'm not making a recommendation that you change it. So we did decide, we did declare last month that we would bring it up. So I'm not proposing any change. We're right again.
A question and a comment. First of all, on the question, I understand the CDC, and I'm confused, recommendation or requirement with respect to the 5 days instead of 10 days. Is that now a recommendation, or just you can if you want to, or you can if you're no longer symptomatic? And furthermore, do we know when the 5 days start? 5 days from the test, 5 days from onset of symptoms? I'm honestly confused on.
Well, my understanding, let's let Jay Logreen answer that question.
Since I don't do much with this every few hours, the way we're running it is we start the day count on the day of the positive test, not the day of symptoms. Because right now everything is a symptom, and anything you could have had in the last month could be a symptom. So the day of the test taken, not the day when you get the results, is the day where we start day one. Then you are required to be out if you're positive for a minimum of 5 days On the 6th day, if you haven't had a fever in the last 24 hours and your symptoms have improved, you can return to work. What we're actually finding in the district, very few people are able to return at the 6th day. A few are returning on days 8, 9, and 10, but most people are out the entire 10 days, returning on the 11th day.
Yeah, that meets with what my expectations would have been, so thank you for clarifying that. The comment that I'd like to make, and Dr. McNeil especially, I'd like to commend you for your presence in the keeping the mask requirements. I'm big enough to admit when I'm wrong, and you were clearly right. I'm pretty good about analyzing data that's happened and various trends, but you've got the ability to see what is happening with these things before they do. So hats off to you for taking a stand that you did, and at least having this in place for an extended period of time.
Thank you, sir. Don't take me to Vegas. Just moving forward, definitely think it's, after reading the plan, excuse me, the subway isn't really agreeing with me right now, but in terms of reading the plan, it looked very succinct in terms of what we're giving to our families as a way to be able to see anticipation of if things get bad, this is where we're going, things stay the course, this is where we're going, things get better, this is where we're going. And I think that gives me a lot of relief moving forward now. You know, we have a plan moving forward. So I appreciate all the work that we put into this.
Well, there's, we were discussing today, the HR folks, we have a lot of sympathy for them through this. I mean, I do want to make one comment about this and the discussion at our last board meeting, just because there were several of us gathered in the parking lot discussing our board after the discussion that we had, and the common statements that were being made is we are so proud to be a part of this district and be a part of a board that can actually have those conversations, speak those things out in public, and we know that you're always looking at what you think is in the best interest of our kids. And so I want to say thank you, because I was very, very proud, along with everybody else I talked to, about just being a part and working for a Board of Education that I can't imagine there's a better one anywhere. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Can you briefly address, right before we announced that some schools are able to pivot back to in person? Can you just briefly discuss which buildings are going back to person?
Well, I'll have to get my list out of my hand. You have, not my phone. Dr. Hartzler has that. I'll tell you wrong if I try to do it by memory.
So the COVID team met today, we meet every day to reassess really our numbers and to also evaluate where we stand by way of our ability to staff. And Ms. Churchill is exactly right. These decisions are very difficult decisions to make, because as we all would agree that our kids need to be in school, and certainly in-person learning is supreme. It is superior to anything that we do have. And I think that is certainly something that we all can agree with. But certainly the last several weeks have presented us with some numerous challenges, and it really all boils down to, and I will say this again, this has nothing to do, as was stated last week from the Capitol, perhaps, that we're afraid of dealing with COVID. It's not that at all. It really boils down to our ability to staff adequately and to safely. And so I do apologize ahead of time to our teachers and to our students and to our families that we just could not, and it was not possible for us to continue to try to patch things together as we did last week. I don't know if the public knows this, but last week when we we tried to keep all of our elementaries open. We truly asked people from across the district, or from our aides at the high school, to then go to the elementary school sites. We had administrators that were serving in elementary classrooms from kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade. We had cabinet members as well in those classrooms last week trying to fill those unfilled classrooms. So I was very proud, certainly, and humbled to be a part of a team that said we'll do whatever it takes to try to keep our elementary schools going and keep them as a priority. But unfortunately, you do sometimes hit a point where you realize there's no way we can do that, even by repurposing staff members. There's still jobs that they do that need to be done, business operations that need to be fulfilled. And we still have distance learning going on for secondary. So we're taking aides from the secondary sites and repurposing them to elementary. I'm sure there was a negative impact on that as well. So on Sunday, we actually met as a cabinet to talk about what this week would look like, again, based on our staffing. And the decision was made that we would try to certainly give all of our parents at least a 48-hour notice or a 2-day notice in terms of what the plan would be, or our plans are for the upcoming week. And so that was the reason why on Sunday, knowing that Monday was a holiday, that Tuesday and Wednesday would be designated as a distance learning day. And that was primarily done because, again, we just did not have the adequate staff to have school. Today when we met, we looked at our numbers and we realized that, again, although we've hit an all-time high of staff COVID positive cases of 188, we also started to look individually at sites to determine what sites would be available to be back in person starting Thursday. And so it was determined that 9 schools would be able to transition back on Thursday. Those 9 schools are the 8th grade center, alternative education, Cedar Ridge, Clark, Darnaby, the early childhood education center, freshman academy, high school, McAuliffe, and Peters.
Not Darnaby.
Not Darby.
Sorry, Darnaby was pulled off. That is good. Thank you for catching that. And looking at their uncovered classrooms, the decision was made that Darnaby could not be back in person on Thursday. So those schools will transition back on Thursday. Unfortunately, we will not be able to offer transportation for grades 10 through 12. And I will just say that about over 1/3 of our transportation is out right now, not available to drive. So the only way we can make this happen in terms of the other sites would be to not offer transportation for those grade levels. And we're also thinking that probably for the most part those kids are either driving or they're able or have the ability to find a way to school. Again, trying to stay with that 2 days notice, that on Thursday we will reassess and reevaluate what our numbers look like. And truly, when I say that these numbers change hourly, Jay and his team have done an incredible job at managing these numbers. It's like they're never off, they're on constantly, and they're always looking at the numbers to determine where we're at. On Thursday, we'll reevaluate, but the plan would be that the remainder of these schools that are not back in person on Thursday, we would expect to have them back on Monday. Let me also, if I could, Mr. Kinnear, comment also about the governor's executive order that was mentioned today. We have looked at trying a way to streamline our onboarding process for any state employee that now would be willing to volunteer for us. Again, not ideal, and I'll say that publicly, but we are grateful and thankful for the help that the governor has offered up. But by no means would we think that this substitute could take the place of a teacher. But once the governor's order or the executive order is signed, we think we can possibly have a substitute in a classroom within one day. We will do a very streamlined, quick onboarding process with any state employee that would be willing to volunteer for us. Not ideal, we know that, but we just don't know how long we'll be dealing with the staffing shortage, and the executive order was done in the last 120 days. So my office is waiting for the phone calls, and as we'll see how many volunteers we get to sign up for us. But that's the plan as where it stands today, and we just have to hope that Dr. McNeil could probably weigh in on this, but we just kind of have to hope that this most recent surge will peak at some point in time sooner than later. According to Dr. Brassler from OU, I think he has said, he did say last week publicly as well, that he thought that we would start seeing a peak sometime this week, and then we would start seeing, hopefully, it drop precipitously. That would be absolutely wonderful if that was the case. But still yet, even though this surge is going to, at some point in time, pass us by, I think there still is a very acute teacher shortage in Oklahoma and a staffing shortage that we're all going to continue to deal with. And I would encourage all of our state leaders to really be more proactive in thinking about making sure that we can continue to pay our teachers at a very competitive rate. I want to be number one, certainly in our region in teacher pay, but also realizing that we also have a very and equally important support staff, that we could not do the work that we do in teaching and learning without child nutrition, without teacher aides, without bus drivers, and all the amazing support employees that we do have. We've never seen in recent years, with my knowledge, Mr. Bushier, you can correct me if I'm wrong, such a shortage of support service workers that we're finding, that we're seeing and experiencing right now.
Yeah, we're running about 20% unfilled positions throughout support services. Child nutrition right now has over 37% of their folks not at work due to either illness or an opening. So almost 4 out of 10 are not in place. So I do believe that I need you to take action on this particular item. Not to rush you.
I just want to be publicly assured that expedited substitute plan does not neglect the sheriff department's security and background check.
That is correct. You cannot usurp the law, and I think the governor spoke to that today, or at his press conference. It was mentioned that all of these volunteers will have to go through a criminal background check, and then also in the school business, I don't know if they mentioned this today, the audio that I was listening to wasn't really good, but there is a sex offender check as well. But we do have the ability to do that through our school Raptorware. Still called Raptorware? Raptorware that we have. And so we will make sure that happens as well.
In line with the report that we got earlier, I just wanted to make sure, are any of the staff that are out, and this might be more of a personal HR concept, but just kind of broad generalizations, any of the staff that are having any severe symptoms out for prolonged periods and cannot receive insurance or benefits, or are we seeing anything like that where some of the staff is not able to return to work because of health complications?
There are a few staff that have been unable to return to work. We have a couple of staff that are hospitalized right now, but that doesn't impact their benefit situation.
Okay, I appreciate it.
If that's in reference to my comments, it was things like someone who needed physical therapy could no longer afford physical therapy with our new plan. And the consensus that the feedback I've gotten when people have gone and presented their new cards to like specialists, the reaction is that they're just, that community care is so hard to deal with, and they express their sympathy to the
Sounds like
teachers.
too. Understood. Thank you for sharing.
So what is the action we need to take?
Well, we're asking that you consider and approve.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion about this? Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Kinnear?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well. And thank you to everybody. I know this is not ideal. Parents, family, children waking up and doing their schoolwork at home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 2, consider and take action to accept the bids for construction of the golf facility interior practice area and award the construction contracts, assign such construction contracts to Key Construction Oklahoma, Inc. and amendment number 1, guaranteed maximum price in the amount of $726,354.19 from bond funds. Mr. Isaacs.
Good evening, Dr. Hartzler, President Roberman, members of the board. So we took bids on our design for our golf facility, and with your approval tonight, this would give us a new indoor practice facility for our golf team. So within the facility itself, it's going to be at the south end of the freshman academy where the old weight room is, or the wrestling room was. It's a pretty good space for that. I feel like it's a really good spot for it. Within that facility, we're going to have some hitting bays. There'll be a virtual hitting bay with a virtual simulator inside of it, and some other ball tracking or striking simulators that will help the students, become better golfers. One of the things that's cool about it is there's going to be a practice putting green in it that's going to have terrain or contours with it, so that it's just not like putting on a flat surface. So it'll be a nice attribute for the golf team to have, and hopefully will help them become better golfers. We use Key Construction as our CM on the project. We've had some success with them from the Big Chill projects, so they were enthusiastic to take the project. We selected them through a selection process, and there was a very good turnout for the bidding period. We had a lot of subcontractors looking at it, so felt like the price was a pretty good price. We felt like we were pretty successful in getting that price. It's close to what we had anticipated. We were a little nervous with all the price increases that are occurring, especially with this because it's kind of specialized, but seems to have turned out okay so far. So with your approval tonight, we could get started.
Yeah, just one comment. I'm always excited about things that help make us more competitive. But I see this one opening up opportunities to students who might not otherwise have those opportunities so readily available to even participate in the sport. So that in and of itself to me is very compelling.
Yes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Kinnear?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well.
Thank you.
Under personnel, consider and take action on the memorandum of understanding with USPA for sign-on bonuses for extended day workers that are not classified under the current contract language. Mr. Weber.
Thank you, President Roberman. This agreement with USPA, as Charlie has shared with a lot of our positions, we have been struggling to fill openings. It's not any different for our extended day plan. Those are the before and after care for the students. Through our extended care leadership, they were able to obtain a grant through DHS to be able to help procure additional staff by offering sign-on bonuses. We've done this in a number of different positions in both teaching and a few support positions. But they have obtained this grant, which they have allowed us to be able to use for sign-on bonuses. We'll follow the same process we have with our other sign-on bonuses, requiring a length of time to remain with the district, otherwise you pay it back. And we're hoping it can help attract a few more people, but unfortunately in this current job market, I'm not sure what is working. But with your approval, we'll be able to move forward and see if we can hopefully fill up some of the gaps that they're having with extended day program.
Move for approval. Second.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Mr. Kinnear?
Yes.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well. Thanks and good luck. All right, under new business, do we have any new business tonight? No?
Oh, leadership.
Oh, you want to do that now?
Well,
You can do it after.
we can do that after yours.
Okay. No new business, but under item number 7, opportunity for comments from the audience and board members. We have a gentleman that has signed up to speak this evening, Mr. Creo. You may come and stand up here. I'll quickly read the rules for this section. Speakers should identify themselves. Each speaker is given a maximum of 3 minutes. Total time allocated to this item is 30 minutes. Under Board Policy 1800, the Board of Education President has the discretion to determine if topics are relevant enough to be heard and to establish the order of presentation. This includes the right to interrupt this section and move on to the next item. Mr. Tria, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Tomas Carrillo. I'd like to express my opposition to House Bill 2988 and my extreme anxiety and fear of what this law could mean. This law would prohibit teachers, when talking about American slavery, from teaching that one race was the unique oppressor and another was the unique victim. In turn, this law would ban our educators from instructing our youth in the facts of history, because the facts of history teach us that in this country, for 200 years, there were a slew of laws being constantly enacted that ensured one race be unique oppressor and another be the unique victim of the institution of slavery. These were called the slave codes. In 1662, for instance, to solve the problem of white slave masters fathering children with Negro slave women, the hereditary slave law was enacted, declaring that all children born in this country shall be held bondage or free according to the condition of the mother. Condition meaning the race, the unique race, of course. In 1705, the Virginia General Assembly enacted laws prohibiting Negroes, mulattoes, and Indians from owning white servants, protecting white servants from being whipped by their master, and freeing any white master of any punishment if he were to kill his slave when correcting and whipping his said slave. With the passage of these legislations, one unique race was protected from the lash of the whip, and another unique race was the victim of it. In 1857, the Supreme Court ruled that Afro-Americans be excluded from citizenship, stating that the black man has been regarded as inferior, so far inferior that he has no rights that the white man should be bound to respect. These laws gave one unique race the right to oppress and designated uniquely specified races as victims of that oppression by law. It's called white supremacy, and it was the ruling system of this country for 500 years. It is a fact. So why do lawmakers want our youth to be banned from being educated in facts? Are they submitting to the woke mob and canceling our history class as not to hurt anyone's feelings? Facts do not have feelings. What governments have banned our children's educations? What governments have banned books and unique races who wrote those books about such unique subject matter? Restricted our history class to state-sanctioned lies and propaganda. The Taliban, the Third Reich, Soviet Russia. If you study history and its patterns, you only come to the conclusion that laws like House Bill 2988 can potentially lead to an ethnic cleansing. If lawmakers can erase our history, they can erase our present, and they can stamp out our future off the face of this earth. And they're starting with the minds of our youth. Board members, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, need your help. We need you to reject House Bill 2988 and protect our children's right to an education. We need you to draw a line in front of our children's classroom and tell the government that they cannot cross it. Voltaire said, "Those who make you believe in the absurd can make you commit atrocities." And what is more absurd than criminalizing the teaching of facts? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Hartzler, you have something to share this evening?
You know, I think Mr. Bushy had probably said it best. I just wanted to take a moment to publicly thank each and every one of you as board members. This is Board Member Appreciation Month, and to think that what we have been through certainly over this last year, these are indeed unprecedented times as we continue to work through this pandemic. And you know, we never had a playbook in terms of how this was supposed to play out, but perhaps in the future we will have, and we'll be better at it. But I just want to thank you for your servant-minded leadership and your heart that I know each of you have for all of our kids, and all of our families, and truly all of you cherish the diversity that we have in this district. It is something that you know, we are very appreciative of, and I'm thankful for that. But I, as Charlie said, simply because a board sometimes does not vote 5-0 in terms of a superintendent's recommendation, certainly does not mean that it's a dysfunctional board at all. It means sometimes it's a very healthy board, because we can agree to disagree, or we can have discourse and dialogue. And I just appreciate that very much in all of you, and always know, regardless of the vote that you have to make for your constituents and for what you think is best for this district, it's always in keeping our students first, and in keeping them in the center of your hearts. So thank you for that. So. I do have one more recognition. We have our leadership union that is still going on. I think you've been meeting
We
off
had
and
to
on.
push it a
when you
little
can.
bit this week. We
Yeah.
postponed this week.
But we have one member of our leadership union group here, Natalie Lee. Is Natalie here? All right, Natalie, stand in the way. Thank you for being here. Cedar Ridge, so, all right, that is all I have.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn unless any other board member has anything else they wish to share.
Real quickly, two things. The first one is that in my recent exploits, I've met some legends of this district, and it has been an honor to be able to see how proud people are to have served here and the impact that they've had. I mean, going back years and years and years, and just being able to knock on someone's door and realize, like, oh, hold on, I'm in the presence of royalty here. So it's pretty surreal, and to see how much people take pride into what this district has become and what it continues to be. So with that, you know, I commend all of you, and it's definitely been surreal. On the second point, one of the things that's going to continue to come up again and again and again, and this is, I think it's important because as we've just adopted a DEI policy, it's going to be something at the forefront of everything that we do, and it's like, where are we at? What place do we stand? And I commend you, sir, for coming up and speaking on that. It is not an easy topic to bring out, and it is not something that everyone likes to hear, especially when you're in front of somebody's doorstep and they're asking about it right in your face. So, well, with that I say, you know, I love what we're doing as a school. I love what we're doing as educators. I love when kids come out of the classroom and they're able to be able to think about any and everything and how to interpret information in their own way. And at that, you know, this board has been able to provide a place where we can actually see where different topics deserve different platforms. And everything has a place. Knowing that and that moving forward, I love where we're at right now, and I love where kids can actually know where they have a voice. I appreciate everything that we're able to do with the kids, and at the same time, that being a way to see that politics is something that they can get into, they can use as a platform for whatever they want to do in the future. But as for us as educators, we're just supplying history, we're just supplying the facts, and that's all that they need right now moving forward. So this is going to be something that comes up again and again and again, and as think one of the only black men that's in here that isn't paid to be here most of the time. People are gonna ask me, and I definitely want you to know where I stand on things as well. And I stand with our teachers and our education system. So I appreciate you guys for everything that you do.
I just want to add to that, so not that, but I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for what all you all do. I know it's tough, it's been tough. You know, I'm part of it from the board side, but you guys are in it each and every day, and just want to say thank you for what you do for all the students.
We have a motion.
I'll motion. Second.
Dr. McNeil?
Yes.
Mr. Reyes?
Yes.
Mr. Kinnear?
Yes.
The chair votes yes as well. We are adjourned.